Look at that silt getting kicked up. Finding a decent spot is proving to be a lot more challenging than I thought. And I don't know who would really want to stay out here in all this dust. And welcome back everyone once again. And for those that are new here, I'm just some dude towing a tiny trailer around the state of Arizona, hitting up different places to camp, doing a little camp cooking, and a little sightseeing. But enough about me for now. We are currently heading out to Quartzsite, Arizona to do some camping with the other 150 to 200,000 other snowbirds and campers. Not usually my cup of tea when it comes to camping, but I'm kind of curious to see what's going on out here in the LTVA or long-term visitor areas. Now, I'm fairly indigenous to the area, and I've been through this tiny little town many times. I've actually camped out here many times. I just haven't had it on the channel in the past, but I've never stayed in one of these highly packed LTVA areas. So we're going to see how that goes. And if I happen to get lucky and get a temporary pass to camp out here, we'll get to camping and camp cooking as usual. But for the day's weather report, sometime mid-January 2026, it is 60 degrees at 9:47 a.m. Currently I'm battling a slight 7 to 10 mile an hour headwind, and I'll tell you what, that slight headwind at 66 miles an hour makes a huge difference when it comes to fuel economy when you're towing a trailer. Typically on this same route I'd be getting about 12.5 miles to the gallon at this point. Once I get up here, I'll take you on a little tour of the main drag of the town, tell you about some of the things that Quartzsite has to offer. Look at all them campers out there for miles. This is definitely the snowbird haven of the country, I think. And this particular weekend is prime Quartzsite season because the RV show is in town, out there at the big tent. But I won't be heading out there this trip. If you're curious about what the Quartzsite RV show is about, you can check out my video from about a year ago. It's probably not the biggest RV show out there as far as what's on display for RVs and campers go, but still pretty neat. And out and over this direction is pretty much a massive swap meet area with all kinds of stuff. As far as shopping goes, there's not a whole lot in the area. There is a Family Dollar. You have a Dollar General Market now. A good amount of gas stations and a couple of truck stops. Many different events going on up here. Some neat places to get coffee. And would you look at that, a Tab 400. If that's you and your setup and you watch the channel, let me know. This place here, Taco Mia, is pretty decent for some Mexican food. And by the way, I'm a big advocate of spending your money locally to the little independents. It really helps these people out, especially in small towns. They rely on the winter business to get by in the dead of summer. So if you can, support the locals. But for right now, we're just gonna make our way down what I call the main drag here. It's not very far. Plenty of actual RV parks in the area if you need hookups. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if it's RV sales or a park. And during the main season, there's a lot of people selling all kinds of stuff out here. Of course, another truck stop and McDonald's. This place is a really good place to get some fresh, real jerky. Plus their wall of hot sauces is absolutely insane, man. I mean, they got some crazy stuff going on in there. Plus a lot of other good treats. And sadly, it looks like corporate America has landed here in Little Quartzsite. I'm not a fan of the same old crap you can get in every town and city, especially when they move into these small towns. Many of the locals have been here struggling for a long time, and these big corporations come in and end up sucking up all their business. So I'm not always a fan of those kind of places. I will stop at them if there's nothing else in the area. But if and when I can, I do my part to support the small guy. Plus, most of the time you get a better and more unique product. Now we're gonna make our way back down the main drag here. And by the way, they do have a pretty good pizza spot here, Silly Al's. And when you come to the main intersection, up that way, about a couple blocks north, they have a really good propane and dump station called the Pit Stop. Look at that swap meet out there. And then of course the RV show. Like I said, this is peak Quartzsite season right now for the next couple months, especially with the RV show going on. It is absolutely insane up here. And by insane, I mean this tiny town maybe has 5,000 permanent residents. And during the winter time, it said that they had gotten up to 200,000 snowbirds and campers. All kinds of different rigs and setups, from tents to trailers to semis to buses, vans. Look at all this traffic rolling in. That out there would be LTVA La Posa North, but we're gonna head on down to La Posa South. From what I gathered over the years, I think La Posa South is supposed to be the most popular, which is way off and really goes against all my normal camping parameters that I look for. But I'm really curious to see what it's like. And more than likely, it's going to be a chaotic dust bowl all day long. That is, if I can get in. And I think this is where we have to check in here. And you'll need good old-fashioned American paper money. Exactly my style. This doesn't take power or the internet to operate. And we're in. Despite what I've heard a few saying online, I was not turned down or rejected. So the cool thing about La Posa South, it's the only spot with a dump station, water fill, and trash in the area. And between all the LTVA spots in the area, I think he said there's 15,000 acres to camp on. But if you're coming here, make sure you bring some cash or a US check. Pro tip, always carry some cash on you. Physical paper money that actually exists, that doesn't need power or the internet to operate. And by the way, it was 40 bucks for a 14-day stay out here. After 14 days, just like any boondocking situation, you need to get up, and I think you have to leave the actual county or move 25 miles to the next campground. You can't just stay squatted in one spot all season. At least you're not supposed to. Now, I'm only staying 2 nights, which that still ain't bad, 20 bucks a night. And by the way, there are no hookups out here, obviously. But the cool thing is, I can come back anytime in that 14 days and stay at any one of these related LTVA areas from here. And I think maybe down into a couple little parts in the really low California area right next to the Arizona border. All right, now it's time to get on it, and we're gonna head way out here to try to find a campsite. And it is endless out here, folks. And I've been through this area and down this road many times in the past to do some off-roading and camping way out in the wilderness areas. So I can tell you that this place goes on forever. It's pretty hard to figure out where you're at if you're trying to tell a buddy to meet up with you, unless you have GPS. Looks like we got another Tab 400. I can tell by the smoked windows that is a new Tab 400. Check out that dude's solar setup on the roof. That's crazy. All kinds of styles of camping. Tents, trailers, RVs, trucks, giant tour buses. Right in here's your trash area. And right over here is the dump station. And it is going to be a dusty couple days, I'll tell you that right now. Check out that little camper. And you'll get to a point where the paved road finally turns to dirt, so you will be off-roading it in many sections out here. So that means windows up, AC on with the recirculation on. Pro desert tip if you don't want your vehicle or your air and AC vents to fill with dust and dirt. Even though this road is graded, it is definitely rough and rocky. And you can see by this side road there, if you hit that stuff, that is just straight silt. Now you're probably definitely not going to get stuck out here on a road like this, but there are many areas where these roads intersect and they go crossing washes, so they may be pretty steep in and out. You may end up dragging your hitch, trailer tongue, or something. Look at all that dust. Quite the norm for an Arizonan. I'm telling you, this place is huge. It goes on for almost ever. And now that I think of it, I should have probably at least dumped a little air on the trailer, because this stuff is nasty. And there's been quite a few times I've been out in this area with just my truck, and I've blown a tire, even aired down on these nasty pointy rocks. And more than likely one day, if I ever upgrade trailers and it's not a Tab 360, it'll probably be something along the lines of that. Look at all that silt getting kicked up. I am seeing a good amount of adventurous looking setups, so that's pretty cool. Overlanding-ish. Alright, we're at a fork in the road here. And I do know from being out here a few times, if I take the left fork, we start hitting some kind of ups and downs in these washes. And I don't quite remember how steep those are. And I don't remember how close those trees and bushes are together out there on the trail. So I think I'm just going to stay to the right. If I had taken that left, I do know the area that way is a lot prettier. It starts to get a little less flat looking, and there may be some potentially better spots for camping. And of course the goal is to get as far out or away from people as possible. But I don't think that's going to happen this trip. And although this isn't that far out there, I couldn't imagine dragging something that big, or maybe bringing out a bus or that big old fancy Brinkley all the way out here. But man, wouldn't it be nice to have a back deck on your trailer? But the herd is finally thinning out the farther out we go. Well, that's why the herd thinned out. No camping beyond this point. Dang it. I'm gonna have to strategically turn around here and kind of backtrack a little. Little fun fact for you. When we used to come out real late night and trailing and doing some off-roading, a buddy and I somehow, when I had the Tacoma, ended up on Razor side-by-side trails, and I ended up on one of these sets of mountains out here. I'll tell you what, it was pretty terrifying once we got up to the top. Well, that was a long time ago when I used to be crazy before I bought a camper, and now I act like a half-retired old person. No offense. Alright, not quite sure where I want to go. I really don't want to be right up in somebody's campsite. I'd like to be somewhere out in that direction, but it is very hard to figure out what actual path or road to take while not cutting through people's campsites or ending up at dead ends. All while dealing with side-by-side traffic passing me and not trying to block them up. Alright, I'm going to chance it and see if we can get through the bushes down in the wash over here. Looks like we're going to be fine. I kind of want to get off of that main road because I know that it's going to be super dusty most of the time, especially if the wind's blowing in my direction. Nice and easy. Got a decent dip down in this wash. I think we should be good to get through it. Little off camber. See if we drag trailer jack. Oh, we're golden. And I think we're getting somewhere. Just got to be mindful of the trees. You don't want to scratch up your plastic windows on your trailer. And with some very light off-roading, we have found a much more open location. Just that little bit of roughness can detour some. Reminds me of when we used to take a trip on out to the dunes. So we're going to stay on the north side of this road because I think the winds are going to come out of the north, and that should keep the dust from rolling into our camp. All right, I think we finally found our spot out here on the edge of the boundary. It looks like there's a rock fire ring already in place, so I think I'll utilize that. Time to round up the wagon train. Well, no go there either. Just informed that the boundary line is running just outside of where I wanted to camp, so I can't camp there either. And you can see what I'm talking about here. That is the back side of the boundary marker, but yet you'll have people out and beyond that, so it gets a little confusing. And I was just reminded, if you're this far out, you need to have a black tank on your RV or a cassette like that. You can't be cat-holing and leaving your poo out here. Finding a decent spot is proving to be a lot more challenging than I thought. And I don't know who would really want to stay out here in all this dust, but I guess it's because it's cheap. Well, I almost made a big mistake there. Somehow I ended up at the magic circle by accident. And I am much too young to go on that ride. Nobody wants to see that. I guarantee there are no spring chickens out here camping. But who knows? There may have been a good campsite out there. Oh man. Honestly, I did not really expect to end up at the magic circle. There's nothing magical about that, guys. Trust me. Oh God, I've been tooling around out here for almost 2 hours. This is not my cup of tea, folks. And by no means, no offense to anyone out there if that's your thing, but definitely not the sights I want to see when I'm out camping. All right, I made an executive decision here, and I'm getting out of this mess and finding another mess. How cool is that? A whole semi-race trailer converted into an RV. All right, so there's another La Posa north of here, probably about 5 minutes down the highway, but I think I'm gonna skip that because it's just more of the same of this mess going on. And most likely what I'm gonna do is head a little farther south. Hopefully it'll be a little less crowded. Right across the highway from here, there is a whole other place to camp at. Actually, while we're out here, let's go check out Tyson Wash across from La Posa South. Looks a little more spread out and less chaotic, but I think I'm gonna skip it and just head south. All right, we're gonna go check this area out down south of Quartzsite. This place is called La Paz Valley. I think my pass should work for this area too, but I'm not 100% sure. Otherwise, I wasted 40 bucks on nothing. I'm telling you what, this place looks terrible also, guys. Way too many people. I'm out of here also. All right, changed my mind once again. I'm heading back north on the 95, back through Quartzsite to hopefully find another area. But this place is an absolute zoo this week. Look at that. So this is the strip just north of Quartzsite. Got a few RV parks around the area, a couple of restaurants. But if you need propane or you want to dump, this is a good place to do it. This is all the traffic heading down from Lake Havasu, Parker, Vegas. A very dangerous road during the season. All right, we're gonna check out the area north of Quartzsite now. This will be high jolly, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is going to be a no-go also. It is packed. Okay, next location farther north. Let's see how this last camping madhouse looks. Slightly less congested early on. Way less congested. And this road goes on for quite a while, but still quite the plethora of people out here camping for miles and miles. This is insane, guys. Absolutely insane. I can't believe there are this many people out here. It looks like an RV lot. Oh, cool, a little 320, a little bit older one. And the herd once again is finally starting to thin out. All right, we're gonna pull off up in here and take a look. Hopefully this works out. At least we got some space out here. I think I'm gonna find an area just beyond this van guy, give him some space, give me some space. Look at that silt getting kicked up. All right, I think I found my spot. Now it's time to round up the wagon train. Finally. I think I've been driving around looking for a campsite for 4 or 5 hours. All right, let's get out, take a look, double check this area. I like this much better. This is more my style. Hey, already got a nice little fire pit down near the wash, and it's fairly well spread out, giving everybody some space and privacy out here. Much, much better place to camp. Now it does help, I am from this region of the state, so I knew that this road already existed, although there may be some things about it online. And I think I'll give this location away since this whole place has been compromised anyway. So this is just north of Quartzsite, Arizona, off of Plumosa Road. Now let's take our damage report here. This thing was doing a lot of rattling up and down them rocky, rough roads. And I can already see my paper towel roll took the main brunt of that, probably vibrating around. That stupid thing just goes in there like that and didn't hold. All fixed and good as new. Next thing I'm curious on is seeing if my microwave rattled loose again. It seems tight, but that upper screw is loose. So I'm going to have to fix the wood behind that eventually. Let's see if we got any silt and dust intrusion in this wheel well after I sealed it. That road would be a great way to check that out. And I can barely feel anything. It's not too dirty down here. So I think we did that correctly. And by the way, when it came to that leak, I found out it may be coming in from back in here, from the outside of the Nautilus box system, and I'll show you that here in a second. Actually, let's check my glass in the microwave. Well, we're still good. It didn't explode, and from the very beginning, I kept the box that the glass came in here. That way, if this thing bounced or anything, maybe that would keep it from shattering. So coming back to the Nautilus shower box area here, I had seen this on one of the forums that somebody was saying their box wasn't sealed inside. And mine has been sealed, but where the issue may come from is in this inside edge right up here against the wall. And other than the obvious, if you had a leak in here, which you shouldn't, what I think may have helped our leaking situation, other than that inner wheel well seal, was probably where the water hose and power connection port comes in down here. So as you're going down the road, that tire would be slinging dirt and mud and guts and water and everything else up through here, and it probably just barely kind of seeped into here, and a little bit of that water rolled down and passed somehow. But when I got to camp, it wasn't too wet in here. But after that, I've just taken a towel and put that down in that hole, because I never even used that thing anyway. and I do that. And I noticed the last time I went through the rain that little towel in there got a little bit damp, so it kept the water out, and it obviously is keeping the dust out. So there's a little trick or hack for you. Eventually I'll have to get up in there and seam seal that seam up against the wall in that box, but I'm not too concerned with it right now. But I'll tell you what, man, it's been quite a day. That was probably 6 hours to drive 2 hours down just hunting for a site. Almost a waste of time, except this spot is pretty good looking for low-lying desert. Very nice vegetation. We got some saguaros out there in the distance. Nice view of the hills or mountains around. A little prettier out here. Should be a little bit more quiet unless somebody wants to pick this area to camp in, other than using all the wide open space that's given out here. But I am a little hangry and I missed lunchtime, so I'm gonna make a quick lunch. I'm just gonna do some hot dogs. And that is why I chose to stay upwind of the road. All right, nothing too fancy this trip. It's gonna be burgers and dogs and maybe some Asian food. But these uncured beef franks looked really good. So I'm just gonna split those, grill them up, and be good to go for lunch. I don't know how, but they found me. Uncle UP is here. Since I was so close to this trip, he decided he was gonna head up and hang out for the day. Showed up just in time for a hot dog, huh?
Went for a ride and said, hey, look at who I see.
Oh, and I forgot. These are all natural beef. They even said they had some Wagyu meat in there. Of course, with some spicy brown mustard and some sour cream onion Pringles. Cheers. These are a fancy Wagyu, so we gotta do these pinky out. See how it is. Hold on. Doesn't look good eating a hot dog on film. Let's see how it goes. It's a pretty good quality dog, good flavor. What do you think?
Delicious.
Look at that sunset out in the dusty desert. Not a bad evening out here in the desert. Just hanging out with Uncle UP, chatting it up. Simple dinner tonight. Some P.F. Chang's sweet and sour chicken. But you got to check out this pretty cool bushcraft spice kit one of our buddies gave me. Comes with all different kinds of bottles and salt and pepper grinders. And I've already stocked this thing up with my own proprietary blends of spices here. A little olive oil. Little of the fresh Himalayan sea salt in the grinder. These things are pretty cool. It just has like a plunger with gnarls on it that comes out the bottom. Simple and easy. A fresh peppercorn melody. Nice looking sunset. Look at those colors. Alright, I think they came out looking pretty good. I offered Uncle UP some, but he's going to be rolling out pretty soon. Plus he needs some protein. Look at that dust just sitting there lingering right over the dirt road. Gross. It's almost like fog. Well, crazy Uncle UP is going to be rolling all the way back home. He just wanted to come hang out for the day. He may come on back tomorrow with another special guest. But look at how dark that desert is right now. Pitch black. Definitely see some stars out tonight, although it is a little overcast. But that Orion's coming in pretty good. But as far as I go, it's time to hop up in this tiny trailer because it's actually getting pretty chilly out here. Overall, not a bad night. $48. I'm telling you, the desert's a weird place. I still haven't even gotten my bed made up. And we're done. Oh, man, I'll tell you guys what. It was quite the adventure today, and not a very fun one. Not bad, but all that driving around really took it out of me. I was cruising up and down those lanes out in the desert for probably a good 2.5 to 3 hours between a couple of those camping areas. Then came back up a little more north out to here. Finally got everything set up by about, I think it was like 2:30. And since some of the guys have a day off tomorrow, like Uncle UP, he decided he was going to stop on out, go for a nice Sunday drive. So that was pretty cool. He came out to hang out. As far as tomorrow goes, he may show up again along with Senor Pescado or Mr. Fish. So that'll be pretty neat if they both come out. But as far as I go, I need to kick back and relax and really catch up on some editing here. Like I may have said a time or two before, I try to do all this on the fly as I go, and I build up the video throughout my adventure with my downtime. But that's alright. Just kicking back and relaxing doing some editing is sometimes better than watching the old TV. But as far as tomorrow goes, we'll see if we'll have some company showing up. If not, I'm just going to be doing some relaxing and a little camp cooking, and maybe a lot of talking about the area around here. See you all in the AM when it's coffee time. Alright, well, it is definitely not the next morning, and I'm definitely not out camping right now. And before you think anything bad about Quartzsite, it wasn't because of people out there or the dust or how crowded it was. I ended up having to cut that trip short, and it is now a couple days later. And I needed a couple days to figure out how I was going to end this video. And I needed to take a couple days to have some personal time and reflection time for myself. And before I even go any farther with this is definitely not a need for any kind of sympathy at all. In fact, I do not like it, and I hate it when a lot of people on social media or the internet try to use their sympathy to get likes and attention and whatnot for all the wrong reasons or monetary reasons when it comes to things like this. So this is definitely not one of those kind of videos. And I know some of you out there may think that I'm a pretty private person, and the reality is that is because there are a lot of crazy nut jobs out there that could be stalkers. So you got to watch what you put out there to the world, of course. That being said, in this particular instance, I don't like to put things that are close to me or many personal things out there, because for this very instance of having to explain what had happened. And the reason I'm doing that is, number one, to end the video, and number two, for all of you out there that left so many kind and great comments in the video a couple months ago about this subject. So all those out there that had watched my video, I think it was in November, the backyard camping or docking station camping video, then you all know that I have a cat. And I really wanted to make that video before it was too late, because I've been caring for my little buddy for quite some time, and I didn't know how much time left I would have. I always wanted to have him out on an adventure, but in his condition, it probably wasn't a good idea for me to bring him along. And for those that don't know, I'm going to give you a backstory on my cat. So right around the time I first got my trailer and brought it home, I liked it so much I was staying out in it for about 6 months. And while I was staying in it, I had noticed that a new, what I thought at the time was a feral cat came into the yard. And I really didn't think anything of it until one morning I heard some noise outside my side window, and I had noticed this, what I thought was a stray cat, hop up on the chair outside the window and sit on it under the shade awning. I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So in the days following, I would hear that noise of that chair just about every night, and that cat would hop up on there and hang out there till the morning. And the odd thing is, he'd be looking at me right through the window of this trailer. And soon after, every morning I would get up. As soon as I'd walk out of the trailer, he would sneak off of that chair, go under the trailer, and be sitting right out the front door, just sitting there staring at me. Then he would kind of follow behind me and follow me up on the porch to the house so I can go in and get ready for the morning. And the odd thing about this was we have a few other ferals in the area that we kind of take care of. So there's a little food and water outside. So he could have went and got his food and water anytime he wanted, but he waited until I bring him up on the porch like that. So as some time progressed, I heard a noise up on my roof. And when I looked up in the morning, I had my old Dometic fan vent open. It's a little wider open. And here was this cat sitting there with his head looking down over the vent, just staring at me. And when I opened up my eyes in the morning and looked up at him, he'd meow and get up. Now, I don't know how the heck he got up there. He didn't climb up this trailer from the front and back. I think he got up on the house somehow and walked over to it or jumped onto it. Usually I get a little upset about that, you know, but in this case he was pretty gentle and I didn't see him clawing anything up. But as I got out of the trailer, he wanted to get down. He was standing up on the front of it. So I got up on the tongue boxes and I tried to pull him down, and on his way down, it was my fault, by the way. He kind of sunk his little claws into the protective PPF film that's on the solar panel. Put a few little scratches and marks in it, but not a big deal. But the crazy thing was, I was able to reach up and pick him up without him scratching me or going nuts. So I put him on the ground and he followed me over back into the house again. And right around in here, you can see his little claw and paw marks right there. He got 3 dots and some scratches coming down. And right around there's another 3 dots. So from that point on, I knew he wasn't a feral cat. So I decided to make him kind of a outside pet. And every time I'd bring this trailer back into the yard and park it, he would just pop up out of nowhere and come over and sit on that chair. So I eventually got him some blankets and old pants to put down in a little cat bed in the end. I even went inside and got a brush and started cleaning him up real good. And this guy was so good about it, he was like practically like a dog. He loved it. Didn't try to squirm, bite, nothing. So moving forward, I came home one day, and by the way, I named him General GW, or General George Washington. And as we go through this video, I will put up some pictures of him. That way you can kind of see what I'm talking about, and you could see what he looked like from the get-go up until present day. He was a little bit rough around the edges when he first came around, but he looked really majestic, stoic, and beastly for a cat. And that's why I named him George Washington. But when I returned home on one of my trips, he had come whimpering out, meowing very strange. I thought he'd been hurt or something. I took a good look at him, and he had a wound on his backside near his upper hip, near his tail. And I figured out it was like a boil that was infected. So I held him down between my legs the best I could, and hoped I didn't get tore up. And I squeezed it out, and that cat only lightly squirmed. He let me clean him up, so the next day I had to take him to the vet. So after I took him to the vet, they gave him all the shots, blood tests, and all the other stuff, I decided I spent some serious bucks, so he was going to be a house pet now. We've had many, many pets over the years. Lots and lots of cats, a couple dogs, all long lived, anywhere from 17 to I think 23 years old. But at this point, we had no more house pets because of the particular reason of what I'm going to explain here soon. So when the test came back, the vet had told me everything is good except for he has FIV. I've never heard of this in all the years of owning cats. So FIV is feline immune virus, very similar to HIV in humans. And just like in humans, at some point in time, it will turn out to be full-blown cat AIDS. It will totally knock out his immune system. So any kind of common cat cold or infection could be very detrimental to him. But there's no way in telling how long this takes, and many of these cats are fairly long-lived. But it's recommended to keep them inside, away from the general cat population, obviously. You don't want that to spread. And as long as they're not a biter or fighter, they may be good with other non-biter fighter cats in the house if you have any. But not recommended to share food sources. Well, anyways, for at least about the first 8 months to a year, he actually got a lot healthier. I cleaned him up. His coat came back really good. He gained a little weight. I think he got up to about 12.5 pounds. Very strong little cat, and extremely mellow, chill, and well-behaved. For a cat that was a stray, he is one of the best, well-behaved cats that we have ever had, especially for a male cat. He never scratched anything. He didn't spray. If he tried to scratch, he actually used the foot mat at the door. And he was extremely intelligent. He would come over by his name, and he knew exactly if he had done something wrong. And prior to going into the house, I would bring him inside the trailer, and I got tired of letting him out to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So I even put a harness on him, and I would take him outside on a harness for walks to let him go to the bathroom just like a dog. Now that is extremely rare for an older cat. I'm not sure what his exact age is, but I'm thinking it's somewhere between 10 to 15 years old or older. So when I took him in and took him on, I knew it was going to be a tough situation at some point. And about a little over a year and a half in, he started to develop some symptoms, some sinus infections, ear infections. And I'd take him to the vet, and I'd get him ear drops. And medicine, oral medicines, by the way. He was so good that I could hold his ear back, and he didn't like the drops when they were in, but I could put the drops in, rub them in, and he didn't freak out. His oral medicine, I just had to sit here, hold his head back, and put the little oral syringe to his mouth. He'd open it up, I'd squirt the medicine in. He'd take it no problem. Amazing cat. And the medicine would help out for a stint, anywhere from 3 to 4 to 6 months. And then some issues would reoccur again. I'd take him to the vet. So speeding this up, that's why I made that camping video with him back in November. I thought it was getting pretty close to his time to taking his final nap. And within a week of that, he wasn't able to hop up on the bed with me or come up our 5 small steps in the house to come and get me for breakfast, and he would do that every morning. In fact, he slept with me every single day that I was home for the last 2 years. He would never leave my side as long as I was home. And when I wasn't here, he had his own little private recliner that he stayed in, so that Grandma and Grandpa could watch him. So after that backyard camping adventure, I had to take him to the vet once again. I took him to a different vet this time. I like to have 2 of something. Maybe one isn't as good as the other. Maybe one knows something that the other doesn't know about. And this one was really good. She got him some good antibiotics, some new ear medicine, some powder to put in his food like a gravy that would help him absorb nutrients because he was losing a lot of weight. And at this point, she told me he's constantly fighting off diseases. So she gave him a B12 shot, and it seemed to help him out. 2 weeks after that, I brought him in again, another B12 shot, some more medicine, and 2 more weeks after that, I brought him in and some more medicine. But in between that time, he was having some trouble going to the bathroom. He wasn't quite making it there. And at first, I figured it wasn't because he didn't have control of his bowel system. I realized he just wasn't getting to the box quick enough. So I moved the box closer to where he sleeps, and cats usually don't like that. But I was correct. It was close enough that he'd hop down, hop in the box, and use it. Extremely smart cat. And he never went to the bathroom on any of the carpets. He knew better. Pretty crazy. So after the last visit to the vet 2 weeks ago, she had asked me if I thought that he was walking badly because his stomach or intestines might be hurting him, or if I thought it might be arthritis. And I said, well, Doc, you squeeze the heck out of his stomach and all that, and I've picked him up. He doesn't meow or moan or act like he's in any pain, so I'm thinking he does have arthritis or something. So she said, the shot's going to be pretty expensive. If you want to do it, I will do it. So I said, yeah, give it a try. So she gave him another B12 shot along with more supplement to add to his food so he absorbed his nutrients, and his arthritis shot. And the next day, I heard meowing right at the entrance to my bedroom door. And I thought, that's crazy. And I get up and look, here he is. He's waiting right there, either at my bedroom door or the next day at the bathroom door for me to take him down to get his breakfast in the morning. And I thought, that is incredible. That arthritis shot actually worked. And for about a week and a half, it almost seemed like he was going to make a recovery, like he was a year younger. Although he was having a few accidents here and there on the floor, generally he was a lot better. So the morning I left, I put him up on his little recliner that he stays in when he's with my parents. They watch him. And said goodbye, and he was fine. And that's when I took off to start the beginning of this video up in Quartzsite camping. Sometime after 1 in the morning, my parents called me and said that GW took a turn for the worst. He had messed himself on the floor, tried to get into his litter box, and wasn't moving. He wasn't really responding. So after I got off the phone with him, I didn't quite know what to do. I didn't want to drive that dangerous road in the middle of the night. There are a lot of wild burros and deers that people hit. It's very, very dangerous. But I decided I better pack up. So I immediately packed everything up and headed 2.5 hours back home so I could try to get here in time to be with my little buddy. Just about the time I got home, right around 4 a.m., he finally took his last nap. And I was told he wasn't responding at all to anything, he wasn't moving. But when he heard my voice, he moved his front paws a little, like he was kneading. So he definitely knew that I was there for him, and he would do those little paw movements anytime he heard my voice, by the way, so that's how I know he definitely knew it was me. And this goes back to why there are no more inside pets. Because when it gets to something like this, it gets pretty tough. So I wrapped him up in his blankets real tight, and I packed in 2 of his favorite delectable treats. And once again, we had to go out and dig another hole and bury another pet. And I put him out there with the rest of our lifelong pets in our little family pet cemetery plot that we have. So I know this was definitely a pretty sad, depressing end to this kind of video. But that's what I had to deal with this weekend. and also why I will probably never show anything personal or dear to me again on these videos, because doing this kind of thing is extremely tough. And in this instance, this was a lot tougher than the usual ones to deal with. Every once in a while, you just get one of those ones that for some reason they choose you, and you know, they become your shadow pretty much. But either way, I didn't mean to make anybody sad out there, and I definitely don't need any kind of sympathy at all, please. I just wanted to give an explanation of why I had to cut the trip short. And for those out there that had watched that previous video and said so many nice things about the General, and for all those out there that gave super thanks and donated a pretty good amount of money to his treat fund, I and him highly appreciate that, and that definitely helped out over the last month. So everybody that has watched, liked, commented, and subscribed, I highly appreciate that. And for all of you that keep leaving such nice, kind comments, I truly do appreciate that. Especially the ones that listen to my whole story on this video. This is just another place for me to hold some of my personal memories, especially this one, other than making it kind of fun for the viewers and you out there to watch. And more than likely, I will be probably heading out to go camping pretty soon. I think I kind of need that. But as I end this video, I can't tell you all what to do or like, but I think it's very important to take in an animal of need, even an older animal. In fact, I think it's more important. There's plenty of stray animals out there that need a good home. And just like in my instance, you may end up with a very special one. So if you can, take in or adopt an animal. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next adventure. What, bud? Time to eat again? Come on. Alright, you ready? Yeah? Alright, come on. Time to get up again. Come on, let's go.